And we will start the forum today. Over to you, Mr. Kam.
Happy morning. Thank you, handsome Mr. MC. Selamat pagi dan selamat sejahtera. The first HRD Corp National Forum Series kickstart yesterday at this very venue. The event was officiated by Minister of Human Resource Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri M. Saravanan, witnessed by the Chief Executive Officer of HRD Corp, Datuk Sahud Daud. So today, let's congratulate ourselves here because we are going to focus on a very important subject this morning, the Reset Forum, entitled Balancing Three Symbiotic Elements, that is work, workers, and workplace. The main objective is to reset the focus for industrial advancement, both for all the stakeholders. So I understand that the audience today will not only have employers here, but also have the very experienced trainers and the professionals here. Of course, exploring this issue, these three interrelated elements, that is work, because of works, that's why we have workers. But I believe that do not confuse the words workers. I think when you talk about talents, all of us work and all of us today, when we look at talents, it's not only the blue-collar workers, but it's a talent in general, including ourselves. All of us work, and therefore, when we discuss about workers, I hope the connotation of workers is not limited to the normal workers that we talk about. And then we hope, because of we are able to explore into new ideas and strategies of how to thrive in this disruptive era, either due to technology, due to evolutions of the business environment, and that is being speed up thanks to COVID. There are many changes that are being speed up. I believe that without the COVID, digitalization today is not very fast here in our environment because we are very comfortable. However, today, let's focus on the three interrelated issues here in more detail. We are very happy, we are very honored because we have got be able to bring together three very experienced panelists from diverse experience and also diverse background. So it is my honor now to introduce my panelists on my right. So I will start with Dr. Norazmi first. He is the Senior Vice President, Research and Talent Management, CREST Penang. So let me also explain. CREST stands for Center for Collaborative Research in Engineering, Science and Technology. And this experienced gentleman here has got 25 years in various industry-related R&D. But he told me today he is not on that type of R&D, but rather bridging talents with industry. So you can dig more from him later on directly. He will be on the work element. Of course, they will be talking about it interrelatedly or interdependently as an integrated element. So let's move to the panelists that is representing the functional workers, the workers, Dr. May Luwe. And she's the Senior HR Director of Sanmina-Sci Systems, Malaysia. And again, she's very experienced, 7 years in Sanmina, and got 30 years in HRM and training and development. And she is currently the FMM HR subcommittee. And thirdly, workplace, represented by Puan Masliza, or she prefers us to call her Mas. Okay, HR Director, First Solar Malaysia. And again, very experienced in the industry of E&E and also solar renewable industries. And of course, she's also a certified trainer, I understand. And let's dig deeper for their sharing later on in your Q&A. So, the topic today, this morning, is reset. So before we reset, let's get set. And get set by warming up. I would now like to invite each of the speakers to have a warm-up session of 1 or 2 minutes to explain to us what they do in the organization. Can I start with Dr. Azmi?
Sure. Thank you. Welcome. A very good morning. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, HRD Corp, for having me here and also us as the panelists. Honestly, for me, this is like a 2 years gap from my last face-to-face session where we did the so-called, boot camp with the Muslim Laya students. That was like the 1 week before the announcements of the first MCO. Almost exactly 2 years. This is my first after the 2 years. So you know how I have now butterflies, looking at faces in front of me. So if I kind of stutter a little bit, so just please excuse me. So what we do in CREST, because I was with Motorola, two-way radio Motorola solution before I joined CREST. We saw the challenges in terms of industry and academia to collaborate, building new solution, solving industry problems, and also building the right talent for the industry. So we were formed back in 2011. So I was part of Motorola and a few other companies, Intel, Osram, and a few other companies, with the help of the EPU. To actually to bridge the industry and academia. Then the rest is history, and we've been providing some matching grant for research. We're also building a talent program. So the last talent program that we did was face-to-face. And with the so-called reset, we actually did our first reset back in April 2020 because we were doing everything online, face-to-face back then. The decision was made, and what if the COVID, it was April 2020. Then we said, what if it does not, stops, it continue, and it does. It is continue until now. So we decided to move everything online. It was a bit more challenging for us. So, but we glad that we made the decision to move, and we do all our program, on building talent, and also collaboration, everything online. Doing hackathon online, you can come and talk to me later on, how we did it. It was, with a lot of pain, when we first started. So I'll stop there, and let the other speakers.
Selamat sejahtera saya ucapkan kepada para hadirin dan hadirat sekalian. Thank you very much to HRD Corp for inviting us. I am May Luwe, born in the month of May, and Luwe is my surname. It sounds very close to do it. So when you think of money, you think of me. When you think of money, you think of me. When you think of me, don't ever think of money. So always I introduce myself in such a way. I am from Sanmina-Sci Systems, Malaysia, Sundan Berhad, which is a EMS company, Electronics Manufacturer Services. So I've been working in HR for almost 30 years. In my earlier day of my career, I was a training and development manager for 10 years. So I'm also a certified trainer and taking up the post-diploma in training and development. So I did the master degree in business admin in USM, very loyal to USM. So as my PhD in the title of Leaders Influence Statistics on Members' Organizational Commitment with the Moderator of Emotional Intelligence in the Manufacturing Services in Malaysia. So it is all the while in my career is to do with people. So I'm more than willing to share about workers today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Assalamualaikum, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Will. And thank you, HRD Corp, for these opportunities to share my experiences and also learnings and thoughts with regards to reset and redefine. Okay, I am Masliza from First Solar Malaysia. First Solar Malaysia is a photovoltaic solar manufacturing companies located at Kulim High Tech Park. And I am the HR director there, has been there for 13 years. I celebrated my 13th year on the 16th of February recently. And I've been in HR line for almost 30 years. And throughout the journey, there's a lot of learnings, and I'm excited to share in my later presentation with you. And I guess Mr. Wei was asking me just now, hey, Mas, please share something interesting about you and your company. And the title for today's forum, Reset and Redefine, as well as the speech from Datuk Shahrul just now, really strikes me of that, distinctive competencies that we have that I'm excited to share. I just changed, I just added on just now. Recently, 3 weeks ago, we celebrated 119 of our employees who graduated with a diploma in mechatronics and diploma in electronics with EdTech. And that is our 6th convocation ceremonies. And we have started this journey since 2013. And by the recent convocation, the 6th convocation, we have graduated almost 500 associates or employees who were, operators level, and they have successfully groomed internally from operator to become our technicians and as well as engineers today, And what we have done, and I'm so proud because just now, even this morning when I have conversation with Mr. Morgan and Ms. Kasturi, she was excited. She said, okay, Mas, that is the first one of the kind signature program that we have heard in terms of talent development, reset and redefine that are unique, and that is happening in Kulim. That seems so exciting, So we would like to learn more. And I guess from that program, what we have learned and also, I guess, benefited from is number one, is that our employees are continuously being reset and evolved to be relevant to our continuously evolving technologies. We have moved our technologies 3 or 4 times since we initiated in 2007, and today they are still with us, and we are able to retain and continue to get them motivated. So this is what Reset and Redefine all about. This is about getting the workplace interesting, getting your employees be continuously industry relevant to your organizations and to the communities.
Okay. Thank you to the panelists for the quick introduction. So now we will go deep into our panel discussion this morning. I hope my respected audience are all warm up and eagerly waiting. So we will now go to the first questions that is going to be presented in turn by each of the panelists. So we will be focusing on where are the jobs over the next few years, that means the future of jobs. What are the evolving characteristics of these jobs? And then what are the industry that maybe will be pulling these jobs? And if you are talking about as an employer or as a trainer, how are we preparing ourselves and preparing our employees or our trainees or participants in order to be ready for these changes. So for the benefit of catching up with time, so we would like to invite the first panelist again on the work, but then this presentation now will be more integrated because we are talking about balancing between workers and workplace. Okay, so over to you, Dr. Norazmi.
Thank you, welcome. So can I have my slide? Yeah, please. So as the topic of, I have to stand up because I'm not used to, giving my, talk sitting down. So if you just have excuse me. So we're going to be talking about reset and redefine the future of work, balancing three symbiotic elements, workers and workplace. So let's see, where do I? So this is the question that we need to, perhaps pose to all the either workers or the people that are looking for new jobs or already, working in the workplace. Are they ready for the jobs of the future? And the future, is not, many years down the road. It's probably even now, right? The future jobs, they're probably, they are right now. So if you, have gone through the so-called, we all have gone through the COVID since the March 18, pandemic. Many things have changed in life, right? So, we buy groceries, we buy our food, when, those got quarantine, buy our medicine. We don't have to go to shops anymore, right? So how many of you guys still go, buy your own food at the grocery store, at the wet market, after the first, MCO was lifted? Raise your hand. And how many of you guys decide to go back to, online purchase after that? Almost a lot of us decide to do that because, the exposure, right? Because, we take it for granted after the first, MCO was lifted, the virus probably will just go away. It doesn't, right? And it still lingers with us, and now we are in the endemic phase, right? Work, all of us, I'm pretty sure, I spend, thousands of hours in front of the square screen, right? Either you are listening, or you are giving the lecture, or you are presenting, you are attending meetings, all within the comfort of your home or even bedroom, right? This is your, like for me, this is my, working place, my laptop, the bed is there, and then balcony is next to it, right? So, and I also can do my farming in the balcony. So I have my workplace, my, place for me to sleep, and then I can have my vegetable next to my bed, right? So all within, I don't know, not even 20 feet, right? The kids and teachers are, taking their classes and whatnot and conducting, courses. I was talking to Rizal yesterday, all in the comfort, of home, right? We don't have to go to classes anymore, right? So these things are changing because of COVID. I'm not saying thanks to COVID, but I think COVID are the so-called the drivers for things to change. And it should have changed a long time ago, but just because of the pandemic of COVID, now this has to change. And I think for the better. So we have to look at it positively, right? So some of the changing trends in the industry, everybody has to eat, right? So you go to restaurant now, so because now better with the control of the with the vaccination, you can go to restaurant. And have you been to Kayu Nasi Kandar recently? Not the one in Penang, maybe in KL. So, who's serving the food to you, right? So we'll come to that. And then manufacturing, there are a few companies here, maybe they're all in manufacturing, have, adopt robots and adopt, automated machine to get the job done, rather than get done by human, it's done by robots, right? And now you see a lot more drones and, all these, flying objects are helping the farmers, right? So these are, some of the really trends. So I'm picking a topic today that is more closer to us and maybe not closer to manufacturing, but there are similarities here. You can draw the similarity between what's happening in your day-to-day life and what is not happening inside the four walls of the, like the company of, Sanmina and also, and the likes of, Food Solar. Take the setting outside of the four walls first, and then you can see the similarity, what are the changes happen out there, there's also going to be the changes happen inside your factory, right, or inside your companies. So here, this is in, I believe in Chita Mall in KL. I was on the way to the airport one day, and I'm meeting a friend, and the food are delivered by this robot. Unfortunately, they call it Dolly, Betty, Katie, Bella, whatever. I don't understand. They should call it Ali, Abu, Mutu, whatever, right? Give some more, kind of a masculine name to this robot sending food to us, right? And this only the tip of the iceberg. Imagine now, even from the kitchen to the robot to the table is also done by, by also, maybe another robot. And there is some work being done in terms of using automated cooker, right? So you only have to do the recipe, the preparation of the ingredients, and the rest are done by robot. So that will reduce in terms of dependency to foreign labor, reduce dependency on people, not able to come because they are sick, and hygiene, right? So these are things that are changing, within your day-to-day life, right? And you will see some of these trends are similar in the four walls of activity, right? So it's not changing. Okay, this is probably more familiar to you guys. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are from manufacturing sector, right? And how many of you guys have now converted and adopt robotics into your manufacturing? How many? Raise up your hand, don't be shy. Right? No? Not many? Okay, maybe it's time to do so. And this is doing, kind of a through hole, assembly, right? Do a pick and place, from the component and put in the board. If you have to use human and a tendency to have the wrong component, put it in the wrong place, and your productivity and the quality will be affected, right? And they don't know when to sleep because these are robots, right? Because you program them to work maybe 24/7. You don't have to worry that they call in sick, I cannot come, you have to find replacement. Robot will not do that for you, right? So this is guy from Penang, Kedah, Muhammad Saifullah, 22 years old when this article was published about a year ago. So after he graduated, he decided, well, maybe what you can do is take, this drone and program it and to do spraying the fertilizers or even the pesticides, right? To help the farmers where they cannot come out during MCO, right? And he makes money. You know how much he makes, for the 11 acre that he's assisting, about 45,000 per month, right? The amount is increasing. So this is changing the way how you get things done. You still have to do and do the farming activity, but you're no longer using your kata kederat, sendiri, bawa tong, and it's basically you have to know how to program the drones, and exactly how to fly it, and then how to make the so-called the drones, spray the pesticide much more evenly than human can do, right? Right. So you got better in terms of yield, you got better in terms of the time, and for about the 1 hectare is about half an hour of work, right? Yeah. So now I'm closing the time, which is coming to less than 2 minutes. Similarly here, the drones. This is for big plantation to do the scanning, the survey of how good is the healthy is the tree. They can do the work of 400 farmers. Right? This is from Genting plantation. Okay, harvesting. So any of you guys have done harvesting or been in the oil palm plantation before? Anybody? Good. So this is easy, right? It's much lower, within reach, about your height, about the human height. Imagine now it goes to, oops. Okay, this is about 10 years old, about twice your height. A bit more challenging, still doable. You were still young, about 20, 25, 30 years old. You can hire some, foreign laborers and whatnot to do this for you. Now let's do this. What about this? As the tree getting taller and older, 20, 25 years, the amount of, I guess, accuracy you need to see from where you are and to ensure that you pluck the right kind of fruits. There's a lot of challenges, and I think automation, robotics can have to do so. SAMENTA is doing that as we speak, right? So a lot more opportunities. But the kind of work that you're going to be doing implementation or, going to be very much closer to what you're doing in the factory these days, right? What about this? Harvesting strawberry. This is a tomato, or maybe also strawberry, right? Making sure you only, pluck the most ripe, 90% ripe of your cherry tomatoes, and you don't damage it, right? And here you don't have to worry about, employing labor. All kind of fruits, we have different challenges. And what about this? I was told you need 8 times more people, during the harvesting versus when you have to plant and managing the so-called, trees, right? So I'm running out of time. So these are the skills required to actually design a robot, build a system that can do the work of human being, right? So, and we have to invest on, the training, the so-called, the employees or the fresh talent to ensure that they know they need to have the skills to actually build a solution that will enable, the factory, the farms to do better job and better yield, right? So these are some of the top 20 skills. You can, Google this. So it's not about just doing the hard skills, but also able to learn things, that is, continuously, and having the soft skills, analytical thinking. So they need to have this, right? And also problem-solving skills and the hard skills, right? So yeah. I'll stop there. And basically, these are the job of the futures, and they require a lot more understanding of programming, more understanding how to control the machines that going to do the work for you, but you are better off, right? So with that, I thank you for your time. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Norazmi, for setting us on the tone for the further discussion and sharing, because we start with the work. So the changing nature of work from the more mechanical, more hard labor to maybe being replaced. So let's set us for Dr. May to explore with us the workers' perspective or the talents, the new requirements regarding workers or the talents that we have to be prepared. Over to you, Dr. May Luwe.
Thank you, Mr. Welcome. So I'm here again. I need to stand to talk, not sitting. The topic is about worker. I will start with a very quick introduction about my company. That is Samina, for those who are not familiar with it. It is founded in 1980 in San Jose, California. We have 75 facilities in 25 countries, approximately 46,000 employees, and 3,000 new products launched per year. So we are a contract manufacturer. In Malaysia, we only have 2 sites. Both are in Penang. One is the original site, which is near the Auto City. There's just 2-3 minutes drive from the Auto City, and the other one is the ex-Motorola site, which Samina acquired in 2016. So first of all, we need to align ourselves about workers. What do we mean by workers? All those who have a boss to report to, and indeed, including myself, I am a worker. I have a boss to report to. We put aside the self-employed for today's topic, right? So just a very quick look at the Labour Force Malaysia statistics. That is in October 2021, that's the latest published. We have 16.26 labour force, and employed as many as 15.55 million, and unemployed is 705,000. Usually the unemployment range is ranging around 4.3 to 4.5%, and labour force participation rate is around 68.8%. So today I would like to share with you about the 4 key personal treasures to achieve workers' success now and future. So what are the jobs for workers going forward? Those jobs, engineers, technicians in E&E industries, those jobs in medical industries, nurses, doctors, those jobs that related to medical apparatus, anything to do with medical devices, so as telecommunications, automotive. These are all still needed now and the future. So about workers, we are all are here are workers unless you are the boss by yourself, the self-employed. So what are the 4 key personal treasures to achieve work success now and the future for us, for our people that are reporting to us, for our peers, for our bosses? Before I go into that, what is success? We say that we want to be very successful. So what is success? Everyone? Do we want to be successful? For sure, right?
Yeah.
So what is success? Success are divided into 4 stages. Many of you may say that, well, success to begin with, we must know what we want. We must know what we need. You are precisely right. Before we are going to the successful stage, how do we know we are successful without knowing what we want, what we need, what we prefer, what we choose? So we need to know what we want. Step number 2, all the way, strive all the way. We achieve what we targeted for. That is what we want, what we said, what we need. So there's step number 2, we achieve it. Having been very successful, have we arrived at the peak of success? There are 2 more steps. I'm in HR, I've seen HR main functions. In the simple, implicated form is hire and fire. Right? And of course, in between a lot of things about employee engagement, motivation, training and development, discipline handling, and many more. But when we say about success, whatsoever we have achieved, we are not yet at the end of the peak. That is where, remember, we need to be able to sustain our success. Maybe you are very young. You earn your first million at the age of 28. So what? Are you able to sustain it? And last but not least, do not forget to enjoy your success. Do not forget to enjoy your success. That is a purpose in life, part of it. Okay? So, 4 treasures from the mind that will determine the attitude of the workers. From the attitude, it will determine the behaviors of the workers. From the behaviors, it will be demonstrating in all actions of the workers. So you just imagine the linkages from the mind to the attitude to the behavior and the actions. So we talk about developing our workers. Aim on these 4 areas. Mindset. Open mindset is very important. Positive mindset is very important. Be prepared, be ready for change. We have gone through pandemic together. Many people have lost their job. If you walk in Komta today, walk in First Avenue, I have not been there for very long. I saw many shops have closed. It is quite hurt in the heart to see the situations, right? So, for those who are impacted of losing job, this is where the mind is going to lead them flying high. Any experience that we go through, any events that we go through, it will be part of our experience, our learning point. For those who are very open, they are willing to explore, to listen, to look for more and more and more and more opportunities, they will never be defeated. So that is about the strong mind. And they are ever ready for change. They don't have job, they know they don't have job. Pilot can be a bus driver, nothing surprising. They change, they're able to adapt it. Adaptability. That is about everything to do with the mind. Second treasure is about the attitude. It's how workers perceive and believe. Always we say that we must have a can-do attitude. Not everybody has it. Therefore, it's a treasure forever who has it. If you are able to see any successful person in your own definition, I am very sure they have these 4 treasures in them. They have the right mindset, they have the right attitude. That's where they believe they can do, they can fly, they can fly. They can learn, they can learn. My major is in finance and account in my first degree. Today I ended up with a HR generalist. It's a change in the career, and it's not surprised among many of us. You have that trend just about the same like me, right? And many of us, I believe that throughout the entire career, that at one point of time, we have been defeated in some point of time, some even lost job. I'm in HR, I've gone through a few rounds of firing. That is especially in economic turmoil time in 2008. That is painful, that is very painful. But for those with great attitude, for example, if a company leader decided to go for pay cut for everyone, those employees that with great attitude, you will say, oh, we are very blessed and very lucky. At least we got a job, and all my peers still have their career and have some income for the families. For those who have negative attitude, they will perceive things differently. They perceive the company as very, very bad treating them, and so on and so forth. So that play a winning element in worker. Next is about behavior. So behavior that determine, for example, that is, okay, what's describe behavior? For example, curious, conscientious, that you take times to do the thing right. You are curious. Your behavior will be able to perceive by others. For example, the behavior of the leader. If let's say the leader show very prompt in time to attend a meeting every time, that is where you are going to lead and build the culture in the organization. The subordinates will attend the meeting of his or her will be prompt in time. That is how a culture being built in an organization. So the behavior is why I want to talk about next is behavior. An organization actually is able to mold a behavior of workers. For example, your job design, your performance expectations, your benefit structures. For example, take a simple one. Your benefit structures, if you build the attendance into your reward systems, this is you are molding some behavior part of the workers. They want to get some returns. They will be showing the behavior as expected. Therefore, that behavior is part of the treasure. It's come from the belief. It is demonstrating next in the action. So, actions is leading to the outcome of everything. You can be lazy, you don't do anything. Boss asks you to assign something, you will have excuses and say that, well, this is not my job. I will take ages to do, I'm not able to do. Workers, they possess these four treasures. If the developments and training are looking at these areas and actions, including also the skill set. I want to do, I do not know how to do. That is able to bridge by the training gaps. Right, everyone? So, I'll just, it's end again, my session. Okay, food for thought. I just got the very recent survey by the Personal Kelly under the skill talent trends. Besides technical skills, soft skills of workers are now essential also, yeah? Adaptability, problem solving, critical thinking, time management skills are ingredients to overcome the challenges in time. So, digitization calls for seekers to be highly skilled, adaptive, and resilient. Skills embracing social and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the way that we are able to self-aware, regulate our employees, be sensitive with how others feel. It will help a lot in the interpersonal skills. And analytical thinking, creativity, and effective communication abilities are indispensable. Besides the hard skill that learn through the hard skills that learn through the hands-on works experience and also some upscaling to the relevant courses, soft skill like this from the HR perspective, it will be forever there as long as we are human with the brain that we need to think, to excel, to work on. We need all these soft skills, and especially we are interacting with people. In short, workers' talent shall keep delivering great value to organization as what the workers are paid for. Workers' mindset determines their attitudes determine their behaviors, and their behaviors determine the actions for success now and future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. May Louis. So, having seen how the work has changed, has transformed over the years, use of robotics and so on, but human interaction still needed. And Dr. May is trying to tell us that don't just look at the tips of the iceberg. Have to delve into the invisible. That means go deep inside into mindset and so on. So let's explore further. Then we look at what about the workplace then? You see, you have looked at the work has changed, and then we are advised that workers, in order to be able to survive or able to live and perform in the new for the new work, have to adapt and so on. So more of the inner rather than the physical technical skill. So let's look at the workplace now. How do you see this future trend going to impact the workplace?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Will. So when questions was posed to me to get prepared for this sharing today, is that three key questions. Number one, what are the jobs that are going away? I need to change back. Can you go back? Okay, what are the jobs that are going away? And secondly, what are the jobs of the future? And also thirdly, what are the industries shall employees get prepared for to embrace such that they continue to be relevant? So looking at that three questions, frankly, this is something, an area of my passion too. So I did research. So, and I saw, there are research, and I saw that's, the bad news is that 85 million people will be outplaced because their jobs has become obsolete or irrelevant by 2030. That is so sad, right? And these are some of the jobs that were being pulled by the research that will no longer be relevant by 2030. And we look at us today, and this is where our majorities of the workers are at. So how? It looks so gloomy. And also the research says that, for our next kid generation, right, 65% of the jobs that they will embark to when they are available and ready for the job market are not yet created. Wow, that is such, unforeseen. We can't even forecast because it's not even there. So how to get prepared? And thirdly, another gloomy statement is that, within 6 months, whatever the skills that you have today will likely be obsolete too. Because at the rate of Internet of Things, at the rate of new information that is being generated today, is so fast and it's so changing. Like even today, who ever thought of having pandemic in 2018, 2019, that truly changed the way we work today? Nobody, right? And it has changed in terms of the type of work we do, the workplace that we have, and also, as well as the worker skill set that we need to even embrace current challenges and move forward for future. So, but then again, the good news is that based on the research too, based on the changes, based on information, based on technology, based on Internet of Things, based on Industry 4.0, 97 million more jobs will be created, and those are the new jobs. And these are some of the jobs, that are going to be made available. And I look at it today, I scratch my head. Hey, I'm the HR. I don't see that. Oh, okay, I saw that HR is in the list. But I don't see most of the jobs that we have in the market today are there in that list. So what are we going to be doing about it? How do we embrace the future? How do we get ready? How do we train? Because we can't turn back time. And, try to get everyone, reskilled on immediate basis, and also try to forecast the future and try to, move along so fast because things are changing. So how? But I look back, the good news is that based on the research too, the jobs that are industries that are relevant to the improvement of human well-being are going to stay. And being an avid supporter, I am always get amazed after I learn about 8 dimensions of wellness. I'm very amazed about the learning, about how 8 dimensions would be able to balance not only personal well-being, but also the workplace well-being. So this is how I look at it, in a sense that whatever jobs or industries or skills that are going to be supporting the 8 dimensions of human well-being will continue to be relevant today and the future. Okay, so what does it mean, Mas? I also want. So take for example, 20 years ago, we never thought about having social media, right? And take an example of a company, Facebook. Now they call it Meta. What is the business of Meta? What is Meta's business? Or Facebook business? Facebook business is about giving the social well-being to the humankind. This is where it allows social interaction. And once it kicked off very fast and very profitable. Look at Google. What is the business of Google? Business of Google is to provide intellectual, because that is where the information are, and it's also provide the social needs, as well as the career and emotional needs support, because all information are there. It's the wealth of information, and it kicks off pretty fast. So, and truly, when I research again, because I said, oh, okay, 30 years of, learning about this wellness, and I do a research and says that, and based on the recent, presentation in the World Economic Forum recently, it is also stated that, business of the future or industry of the future are the ones relating to the well-being of humankind. So if we are in the industry, or if you are in the industry, or if you are thinking about what industry to embark on to continue to be relevant, the industries that are going to be relevant in the future, or jobs that are going to be relevant in the future, or career that is going to be relevant in the future, are going to be the ones supporting these 8 pillars. So if you are into that 8 pillars, then, okay, number 1, that's a good news for you. Next, so how do you embrace the change? Because how do you continue to, make sure that you can ride on the technology? As Dr. Norazmi was saying, there's so much changes in automation, right? Even servers, today we don't have servers anymore. Robot becomes servers, right? Even Dr. May was saying, yes, we need soft skills in order to continue to be relevant. So based on that, based on what is relevant today and how to continue to be relevant, is that, number 1, these are the acquired skill that is necessary for us as an employee, for the training provider, because most of you are the training providers, need to start to ponder on how to create this and offer this to the communities. And also for the government, HRD Corp is representing that, how to be supportive in terms of this preparation, okay? And the bad news is that it cannot be in sequence. It got to be coming all at once, okay? So what are those? Number 1, as I mentioned just now, the rate of information creation is so fast. So how to keep abreast of information is by reading. There's no choice. We need to, promote a society that is, love of reading. Read and read and read to be abreast, as well as, after reading, demonstrate that knowledge. The problem today is that we ask people to read, but it stops there. It's not embracing into the functional areas and improve along with the evolution. So for example, I would take, for example, HR jobs, right? HR jobs has been around for many years and many centuries. It remains to be relevant. The functions is there, but the content has changed. It become automated, it become digitalized, it becomes so robust in terms of the information on how to handle talents today compared to 30, 50 years ago, or even compared to 10 years ago. So reading and keep abreast to the evolution and keep pace to it. And it got to go along while the people are, learning it. So in a sense that it is always learning on the go. It's not that after finishing school, that's it, close books, and that's the end of thing. So it got to be a continuous lifelong journey. Number 2, learn. After you read, you got to learn, apply and demonstrate. And very importantly, critical thinking. Because today, you can see that the generations are not putting the thinking cap. It's always given information. Critical thinking skills is very critical because this is where the skills of evolving, the skill of innovating would come in, you know. And along with innovation, you got to have problem solving because remember, in terms of to remain relevant, the jobs needs to be able to solve human problem, current human problem. So having the right problem solving skills embedded into the jobs or into the workforce is critical so that continuous improvements can be demonstrated and can be, I guess, can be shown. Thirdly, acquire and improve leaderships and communication skills. You know, once you read, learn, applies, the knowledge needs to be communicated. Otherwise, it is a, you know, unuseful knowledge. It's not useful. Nobody would benefit from it. So a lot of companies or a lot of individuals who flourish today because they are able to read, learn, apply, and put critical thinking and be innovative and communicate their ideas and make the ideas into reality in terms of products or services. Okay? And of course, given is that number 4, refine the basic job skills. If you are in HR, refine the HR job functions. If you are in R&D, refine in R&D. If you are the training providers trainer, continue to refine in your forte subjects because things are evolving very fast and value add to those. And diversify the skills and knowledge portfolio. We cannot continue to be relevant HR if we are only just focusing on HR knowledge and just deep dive into HR. We will be versatile HR if you are able to understand about finance, how to make companies profitable, understand about operations, how to help operations to be efficient and also effective. And you know, we need to learn a little bit of engineering so that we can help the engineers to see the human perspective of the innovation that they are putting into the technical. So diversify the portfolio. So all in all, it's about the job. It's not about the job that is going away. It's about the skills refinement that needs to be continuously evolved, and that is need to be embedded from now into the current employers' development curriculum, into the government, you know, talent development framework, and into the school development curriculum. So with that, I think I give it.
Thank
to
you,
the
Mas.
person.
So I can feel that the panelists are not limited to their own elements. So it's very difficult, but then I think we have gone through this first round of sharing on their respective elements there, and you will find that they are very integrated, or there's no, cannot be compartmentalized because the three things are very, very interrelated. And of course, touching on wellness at the workplace, just now the CEO of HRDC also talk about do not let the workers suffer from the workplace there, the well-being. So by the way, that's a very passionate subject of mine because my name is Welcome, well, W-E-L-L. So we'll come back to, I now tend like not to ask the more formal questions. So later we go one round and then we'll come back with the impromptu question based on what you all have shared in the first question. And I hope the audience, the respected professionals, employees here, are you still here? Do you still the warming up, beyond warming up already? Yes. So let me go to the next part of the panel discussion, because all the three panelists has given their view as to workers and workplace. So now I will fire the first question to Dr. Norazmi. So just now you talk about the changing landscape of the work, and then can you share some stories out there about the industries and the success, or whether it's positive or negative? Because if I were to look at it, one of the story I feel I have to ask now rather than wait until later is, just now you share with us a lot of robotics and so on. So the story you have shared with nice picture. So now the question is also, real example, where are the people going to? And the paradox is, when we talk about replaced, and yet we can't find workers. So that is the real situation. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have to take the pandemic as the scene setting, right? During the pandemic, we have a lot of issues with just the workers that are, especially in the manufacturing, where they are living their own so-called dorms and hostels because how they are living and then sharing and whatnot. So there are challenges in terms of keeping them to be so-called healthy, right? And I think these are some of the challenges in the first stages of the MCO that we saw that. And perhaps I think there's also the issue in terms of labor utilization, where do you continue to get the job done by the foreign labor, which is the one that we are facing with the issues during the pandemic, or do we move on to go beyond the so-called I guess hiring those so-called use the word more cost-effective foreign labor, versus to move into the using of not say it has to be a robot, some level of semi-automation or automation. And I think that the two panelists that are on my right hand side here, they can agree with me, by going to some level of automation or reducing the dependency on laborers, or maybe I stress the word use dependency on foreign laborers, because a lot of those people in the manufacturing activity, they are non-Malaysians, right? Because we can hire them because they're not interested. But imagine now we take the so-called the requirement of to get a job done. It's not where they have to be there closer to where the products will be assembled or not. So the trick is, the closer you are, the closer the person is to the job to get done, delivering food, to do the assembly, the closer you are, that's where the most impacted in the future, right? Because those are repetitive jobs, right? And it will not get you to increase your salary or increase your knowledge after a few years, because you're doing still repetitive jobs. And over time, that people can get old, just like the case that I put in terms of in the farming. The older people, they have health issues and whatnot. They cannot continue to do the day-to-day when they are younger, right? When they are 20s, 30s, when you go to 50s, 60s, at my age, even in the 5 series, you already feel fatigue after certain hours in the day, right? And that's the main part we have to get the employers and even the employees to think about, the job that I'm doing now, repetitive, gonna go away. It's gonna go away, right? Whether you like it or not, whether maybe most that are in the audience are the SME, but the MNC is already doing that, right? I was in control when I first started my career in 1995, 97. We're already doing a lot of this automation, right? And only lately they call it Industry 4.0, right? But it is happening, everybody can realize that by investing in the automation, investing in the robots to get the job done. It's not about taking the job away. It's getting the routine job done by machines, where now what the employee or the employer has to do, how to train the employee to do the work, to program the machines. Now all of a sudden, your level of knowledge is higher than doing the manual assembly, right? And I think that's the key part that people have to put in their head. I'm not losing my job, I'm just advancing myself to do things that are probably, I don't have to spend 24/7 on, because I was visiting one of the Malaysian company that manufacture plastic parts for medical and also automotive for European market. It requires 100% inspection, right? And the guy was sitting there literally, good, no good. By how many hours do you think that he's going to say, I think this is good, okay lah, nunggu lah, right? So human will get tired, right? But machine doesn't. Believe me. So, so you can probably invest on maybe 3 human and 1 machine. The 1 machine can get the job done of 3 human. So I hope I can answer your question a little bit.
Yeah, you are already answering, I believe. So there's no straight answer that, you see, those machines or the robots are replacing the tedious job. Yeah. But here, as the other panelists has explained indirectly early on, you have to adapt and move to the next level of skill, maybe more of a thinking, more of a soft skill, more of, if you are talking about a restaurant, maybe instead of serving and exposing yourself to the COVID-19, that is the natural situation now, maybe have if you are good, then you progress to the next level of leadership, maybe creating a better service, overall ambient, or even recipe. So is that what you mean? The robot is good to not here to compete with you, but make job easier. But you have to make your value as a worker higher. So that leads us to the worker stage. So is just now, Dr. May, you talk about the mindset and so on. Seems so very fundamental and basic. So is our qualification still relevant and that important, or is it that qualifications are just initial tickets? So please explain.
Thank you, Mr. Welcome. Qualification is definitely still very essential. From the HR perspective, I'm sharing with you why. Because in any organization, or most of the organizations, there's an entry level for different level of education. You are a technician, you are a freshie technician, you will have that so-called as new basic salary for the new hire. Basic salary for the new hire. You are a degree, for example, for the diploma level technicians in the market, the freshie salary is like 1,600 to 1,800. For the degree holder, it's around at least 2,500 to 3,800. The leader of the market in Penang is Intel, for example. The grade of all the first honored degree students, for example, they pay that high. And that determines the entry level of the individual, the worker to the organization. Therefore, Mr. Kam, to answer your question, that is forever still very important. Nevertheless, from what HR can see a lot of things. We can see everyone's salary. We can see everyone's progression, every single details of the employees in the organization. I've seen many, many cases. Why I say that the education still makes the difference. When I do the thorough employee studies or review of certain level of employees, because in the Penang market, they got 3 scenarios happening. One, when we talk about the DL hiring, DL, all companies almost shouting that, we don't have the locals to support since the government is not able to release the foreign workers yet. MOU is not signed yet because of the pandemic, and so on and so forth. Therefore, yesterday's session, when the Minister of HR was here, and it is really overwhelming. So, the DL, the minimum wage at 1,200, and there is that level of employees, then most probably the education is not that relevant. But the higher level education is where bringing into the starting where they are, starting point from where they are, okay? Second scenario is about the indirect labor. Indirect labor is like, at least the technicians or admin support and above level. So in Penang market, not all jobs have vacancies. But in the recent years, what we can see is that those engineers, general engineers, technicians can be test, equipment, IE, process, you name it, and the technicians in the similar field, also the buyers and the planners come with a very high attrition rate somehow. In the industry, the attrition rate is, in the past, before the pandemic, for the IDL, executive level, is like below 2% as a measurement. And for the direct labor, it's like 4 to 5% as a measurement per month, right? So we see abnormality in this year and also last year, where these few positions that I mentioned, the attrition is more than 3%. That is pretty scary, right? They may be caused by two scenarios. One, there are so many huge companies starting their business at the Batu Kawan area. So sometimes we are the victim of the development. We face more and more challenges. And there is where when we see, oh, why we got so much of attritions and not enough people. It may be true, but it may not be true because these people, they are moving around to fill in the positions. All right? The second part of it is, maybe it's true, for example, area that is not enough and the very niche, very difficult to hire engineers or positions. They are in my industries. If we have automation, I think Dr. Azmi has shared very well about automation. It's not taking out jobs. It's just to replace those routine jobs which can be done better by robotics or by robots, or by now people, it's a development of artificial intelligence, of having computer programming of robots to do what people can do, for example, right? So like what Dr. Azmi shared just now with the robots serving the food, in both our countries we have that also, but it's not serving food in the canteen, but it's the robotic is to help to deliver goods. And with the specific line, you will go through the line, you will turn just like the railway, it will have the reel for the robot to move around, for example, right? So when we're talking about the scenario of certain niche positions, they are such as automation, software, and hardware application engineers and managers. It's really hard to find. When you talk about industrial engineers, it is really hard to find. They are very important in big organizations. For example, space is scarce in big organizations across here. They are so developed. They need the IE to find space for them, to propose to them the optimum utilization of space and so on and so forth. I don't want to take up all the time. I shall stop here.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. May. So qualification is still important, especially at the entry level or ticket to, because, and especially at the higher level. But I think if got chance, we come back to your mindset and all those things. Because sometimes high qualification people may also not yet have that great mindset, attitude, behavior, and take the necessary action that you mentioned about earlier.
Yeah.
So I think we pass to the next panelist first, because you see, my panelists are all very passionate to share. So my job is very tough now because to keep them speak to the questions. So I will come back because I still remember what you all shared. So Mas, you are waiting eagerly. So the workplace can't run away from COVID now. So like today, we are also very brave. We are here physically. But then workplace has been talking about work from home, remote working, and so on. So how do you see from your HR perspective? Is it really happening in a very healthy way in the context of Malaysia?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Welcome. Okay. Back, before the pandemic time, we talk about having flexible work arrangements. We talk about working from home, and those are, very niche, privileged benefits. In fact, those for some employers, they're using that flex, working from home, telecommuting as a key differentiating benefits to attract new generations of talents. But when pandemic comes back in 2020, things has changed. It has fast forward 5-6 years to become the reality today. And if you look back and take stock of our current workforce compositions, frankly, they are two categories. We cannot discount the categories who are required to work from office. I'll come to that. Okay, yes, and we have seen, and today, it's been in the news. The Great Resignations. Who has not heard about the Great Resignations, right? Especially in the Western world. And research has shown that, in the Western world, in the US, 38 to about 55% of workforce, choose to leave their employer just because there's no arrangements on flexibility. That's the reality. And how about Malaysia? I saw the research that was published by McKinsey recently and also Deloitte. As high as between 11 to 18% of currently working population in Malaysia shall choose to leave their employers if flexible work arrangements are not continued after we enter into endemic environment. And yet today, we are already challenged of even looking for talents and also retaining talents. So if you were to add that to the basket, it's going to be a nightmare for us as an employer. So bottom line is that, having flexible hybrid work arrangements is non-evitable. But the question is that how to make it work for the employer, like us, some of you are employers, and as well as, meeting the employees' expectations. And how to make sure that, the productivity remains high, and people remains motivated. I think we know that one of the key challenges of working from home is being disoriented because away from the work group, away from the working environment, away from colleagues, and away from their supervisors. So that makes them, so distant, and thus making living a lot more, easier. So the bottom line is that, number one, employers need to undergo the study to understand to what level of composition of the work within the organizations that are able to be on flexible work arrangements, right? Number two, create an infrastructure. That is very important. Create an infrastructure to enable it. Because for the fact, and it's already in the trend, people are telling you, So we talk about we are being engaged employer. Being an engaged employer would listen, right? And respond. So listen and respond, meaning respond effectively to the feedback that you get so that you won't get surprises. So the question is that how do we respond effectively to make sure there's no surprises for you to manage, right? So how do you make hybrid work arrangements work well? So in the sense that how do we ensure collaboration continue to work and how to continue to motivate the people who are in the office as well as work from home and continue to get them continuously engaged into the productivity. So those are the key questions that needs to be, studied and needs to be, understood by the employers. Because each working environment, there are some slight differences. I guess what's important is that the infrastructure, the support from the leadership team, the support from supervisors, the skills of managing remote workers is important in that kind of scenario. So that will get you ready for the future workplace. And the second category that I talk about that is inevitable, especially in manufacturing, we are all in manufacturing, there are more than 50% of the jobs that are related to manufacturing, you have no choice, you got to be in the office. Otherwise, who are going to manage the machine? Who is going to manage the robots that we talk about? Somebody got to be there. So the question is that how to make that job sexy, for the HR, how to make that job sexy and appealing enough such that people are motivated to go back and feel that there are no inequality in that expectations, So it's a key fundamental trying to understand what the needs of this category of workers in terms of what they look for when they are work in office to provide them that sexiness, that motivation, and that, sense of equality when they are required to be in office. So all in all, the conclusions that I could derive from this is that employers need to recognize there are two categories of jobs in your organization that, that would somehow influence how you design your workplace. And having the flexible work arrangements is no longer, is inevitable, I guess, quest. You need to be able to embrace that in order to make sure that your employees continue to be engaged and motivated and also can move forward with the changes of the future.
So that has got no choice, but just merely fast forward.
Fast forward, provide with enough infrastructure and collaboration.
Because of your talk about the different categories of job, then I think whether you make the job value more valuable, being seen more valuable or more sexy, and then how you set up the infrastructure and all those things come to one word: judgment. So each and every employer has to look into it and make the judgment of how far and how to balance between the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Okay? So for that matter, I think the training and development or even the professional trainers should actually play the role to really make that happen. Like I said, the pandemic actually fast forward a lot of things, digitalization and all these things that you are talking about, like flexible work hours. So, wow, I hope that I got the panelists sharp to the point for the second round of panel discussion. So, for let's go back to, because when we go through the first round of panel discussion for the three panelists, we actually look at interrelated issue between workers and workplace.
If I may add to the point from Mas, right? I think in terms of you decide which are the jobs that you have to be in the factory or in the facility versus the job that can be done, and I like to use the so-called slogan that IBM did many years ago. It says, work is not where you go, right? Work is actually what you do. So, in fact, I always remember that because a lot of my work, as I grow in my career, I don't have to be physically beef my team, and I used to have up to 150 people in my team. They have their own managers, and up to a point you build the trust, you build the so-called the work culture and work process. You can actually be anywhere and get the job done, right? And even during pandemic, especially when it comes to signing documents and approval, you don't have to be in the office and have a physical document. Some people still like to have physical document. The digital platform, Microsoft Teams and Microsoft and all like Google, can help you get the job done without being in the office. Right?
So hope you influence them to reset and adapt to the new format.
I like to term that as work, not workplace, but workability, meaning that ability to work anytime, anywhere, and with a good infrastructure supporting it so that results could be produced accordingly.
So that comes to the question about job value, how whether digital, non-digital. Or for that matter, since you are, Dr. Norazmi, you are in the research of the talent development and then the bridging with the industry. So I asked the quick question on the how the new generation or new workforce look at the work value, whether digital, non-digital. That means physical, and then whether in the MNC or SME, because I come representing the Small and Medium Enterprise Association. So maybe just in the short answer to that, so how has this, from your recent involvement in CREST, that is the R&D into talent development and as regard job or work, okay?
No, I think a good place to look at in terms of how things change rapidly or almost a complete 180 degrees. Look at education, right? Look at how you train your people. Look at how you get them to to show what they have done, right? to educate things that are more of reading and then memorizing whatnot, that's easy. When you have to teach somebody more technical work and they have to do a physical demonstration whatnot, that's where the challenge is, when you have to, cannot be face to face. And I pity a lot of kids, these days, they do start their learning without being in the classroom. The social interaction is not there, right?
Yeah.
And the physical, trust building and social building is not happening. So there will be the changing going to be from purely either face-to-face or or non-face-to-face. It's a hybrid. It's required, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you have to say, I need to show you exactly how it's done. It's nice to watch it on a video, but you cannot feel it. You can actually do the touch and see how it works, and then do a little bit more of face-to-face discussion, right? So things are going to go into a very hybrid mode, right? Either work or learning, and whatever is going to be, very much hybrid.
So have to adapt.
Yes, you have to adapt. Yeah.
Okay. So for Dr. May, just now, having heard from your presentation and also the first questions, and what about what are the core competencies that you advise? Is it the mindset and all those things can be considered as the core, or you have any other advice to look at from the workers' point of view?
Okay, the 4 treasures I shared just now is needed by everyone.
So that is
right?
the
There is
core.
a mindset, there is the attitude, behavior, and the action to see how it flows and influence on it. So indeed, about the main competencies of the workers that we still needed today, they are the problem-solving skills. Mr. Kamp, there is another set. The 4 treasures is different from the question on key competencies are still required by the current workers. My point of view is that regardless of either they are the operators or they are the technicians, engineers, but of course in the level of weightages that's different, is the problem-solving skill. If I am an operator, I have that quality much better than my colleagues. This is where I'm going to have my career path in that organization. We have seen many of them. Operator, leaders, senior leaders, assistant supervisor, assistant manager, managers, and so on and so
So
forth.
all of them need this skill.
Problem-solving skills. Why?
So,
Problem-solving skill about identify root causes, ability to identify the root causes, because in any jobs, definitely we will face any challenge. We will face problems.
yeah.
We need to solve it regardless of what level we are, even we are the operator. So that is essential. I believe that I don't have time to elaborate more about that. Second is about the communication skills. Interpersonal skills that come with emotions. Communication skill can be verbal, can be written. Many of time we see many young graduates, they don't even able to express themselves. Not even able to present a report. Not able even to write a very simple report, for example. Communication is very essential. So as an interpersonal skills, and so as analytical skills, all these soft skills, they are very important of the competencies of any workers in any levels, just depending on the weightage of the, where you are in the level.
So, Dr. May, so you are saying that there are many more core skills that needed, but summarize, very important is problem-solving skill at whatever level, from leaders, supervisors, and so on. The other one is communication skill, interpersonal, and then maybe you are talking about the EQ and so on. So, in the benefit of time, keeping the time, I will move to the final question for this round. So, for Masa, so what are the great workplace traits of the future?
Great workplace of the future will be the workplace that address employees' needs and well-being. And if you look at like I say, I'm an avid supporter of these 8 dimensions of wellness defined by Dr. Stowen, University of Maryland. And that defines the entire good symbiotic, expectations that me personally as a person needs, And I believe that is the needs that address the needs of each and every one of the employees too. So if employers are able to, look at those 8 dimensions and try to, put a checklist and see whether are they addressing these needs for physical wellness? Are they addressing the needs for mental wellness? Are they addressing the needs for career development? Are they addressing the needs of intellectual development capacity? We talk about development.
Incidentally,
Yes.
that is the soul of the human as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
So in a sense that you may not even spend millions of dollars just to make the workplace so beautiful. It's just that addressing those innate elements that, that practically every humankind needs would be, somehow relevant. So whether you are in small SMEs or in a big multinationals. And if you are able to verbalize how you address those 8 dimensions to the employees could see it, and that makes the engagement higher, and that makes your workplace a great workplace to work
I
at.
term that total wellness. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Because it's balance of 8 perspective. We hope, we want to talk more about this topic because we are very passionate about it. So I understand that we have to move into the question and answers round now, because we want to engage the audience as well. I can look from the Slido result here. The first one, towards digitalization and automation, what will be the impacts to the workforce in the future? Employment rate, job opportunities, effectiveness. So this question is not directed to any specific panelists. So who would like to
I will
take
answer on this one.
Okay.
Okay, just now Dr. Azmi and I shared a little bit about automation. Do not have fear about automation. Automations is to simplify words and increase the accuracy of a routine work, which if let's say is carried out by individual, the individual will become fatigued and it tends to make mistakes. So talking about employment rate, when we have automations, it may be possibly, automations, most probably it will focus, since we are not there, it's just at the beginning stage. If I were the company owner or employer, the automation work when I started to change, I will start from the very fundamental, that is to cover the operator's job. So with it, we are able to, one of the ways to cut down the dependency on the foreign workers. And we will have more local employees that are interested at work because the type of job they're going to work is no more that routine anymore because it's already taken care by the robots. And with that, we foresee that the employment rate can be reduced. That is one. Second, about job opportunities. This is where we talk about upscaling. You have technicians, now is not able to do programming. You even have the engineers, you are not able to do programming, designing. So this is where the education in Malaysia have to work much towards the directions to develop those people in software application designing, applications, use of applications, and so on and so forth. We will create jobs for these people and upskill them. Just like in many, many European countries like Germany. Their people are very skillful, highly robotics, highly quality. The number of people, they are not many. But yet it doesn't mean that all Malaysians are going to lose their job with high attrition rate. Our workers will become more skillful. That is where they get more paid for their skills that they know. And Malaysia is going to grow. More and more investors going to come because we get that skill sets of employees available. This is where the HRD Corp is able to help. This is where the employers' focus can be to develop and upskill the employees. And last but not least, needless to say, that is about the effectiveness. By routine job taken care by the robots, by our employees being upgraded in terms of their skills, and also develop them from the soft skill perspective, leadership also, part of it, negotiation skill and whatsoever not on the soft skill portion of that. This is where we raise the standard and the quality of our workforce, of our workers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. May, for answering the first questions. I hope it's well answered. Then we move, because there are many questions coming in now, move to the very specific question to Mas. How do you get the staff to pursue diploma in full-time as full-time workers? And do you have collaboration with the colleges, etc.? Over to you, Mas.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for these questions, because this is something that I always proud to talk about, because I look at my employees as my little brothers and sisters who have the opportunity to grow, and they are so excited to grow. Okay, our journey started in 2013, and the thing is that, number one, what is fundamental, especially for the employers and also training providers, you can do that, is that a strong leadership support. I think Datuk Peng is here, my MD, as well as my senior leadership team are very supportive about employees' development. That is the first fundamental that is required, in order to make the program successful. So once you have this leadership support, of course, the infrastructure is easy, because we can provide the infrastructure and the process. Secondly, we need to create excitement, motivation for the employees to join, because and to sustain, because working and learning is not easy, and I'm doing that now. It's painful, but I love the journey because it keeps me motivated. It keeps me, in sync with the development of academics, and it keeps my knowledge fresh. Yeah. So I always have that principle, such that you got to continue. You saw I talk about read, apply, and communicate. So in a sense that how to get them motivated. So how to get them motivated is, number one, show them the way. Meaning that show them what would be the end after their journey. So it got to be a clear path for them, such that they know that they are aiming for something. That is very important. Number two is that show support, because the journey is not easy. Trying to balance the work requirement, trying to balance the family requirements. Some of them are married, some of them take care of their elderly, are truly not easy. So showing that empathy, showing that support system, provide that support system is important. And number three is that celebrate small wins and celebrate big wins big. So what I mean by that is that, every semester, once they, complete, we look at the results and we celebrate together. And in a big team, because majority of our employees who participated in this program were fresh co-leavers, meaning that they are SPM, STPM leavers, right? They have been operators all the while before they joined us or when they joined us. So some of them are saying that we have not, even have the thought that we would, even have a diploma for our life. And the thing is that on the day of convocation, some of them cried, because this is something that keeps them motivated, keep their family motivated, keep their children motivated, because we bring the family along to celebrate during the convocation. So the first journey was tough because we were trying to set the path, make it able, because it was because it's not easy. As I mentioned, it was not easy, and we have to handhold. Yes, as employer, we have to handhold and really do the counseling, keep the motivation and so on, so that they go through and create the success stories. So once the success stories is created, once we have our first convocation, and they were in that convocation robe, and we celebrate it big, the rest is history. And the thing is that every time I go through the convocation ceremony, I am very touched, because not only they are able to complete, because we have almost 100% success completion rate, meaning that if I have 100 students or 100 employees enrolled, at the end of the program, I have almost 100 graduated. And they graduated with, almost all of them 3.5 CGPA and above. So that, really, that really motivates us to continue. And what good for us is that as we evolve along, because all these are planned according to technology milestone, as we evolve along, I don't need to scratch my head to look for technicians, look for maintenance, because I already have the work force developed internally are ready because they are familiar with our culture. And now they are equipped with knowledge to run the equipments, to run the robots, you know. And they are motivated and committed to be with us. So all in all, today, I mean, somehow, yes, a lot of, I guess, peers, employers have reservations because to involve in this kind of development, lifelong journey requires a lot of investment, not only money, but of course HRD Corp are there supporting us all the way. And we have a good support from Ministry of HR with the, you know, the grants that we have gotten in 2018 by the Ministry of HR and the support from Ministry of Sports and Youth too in terms of our program. That makes the, you know, financial investment a lot more easier. And also commitment and support from the leadership team as well as from the supervisors. So once we showcase this, you know, enable program for the shop floor associates, because those are the groups that are always not tended to, the rest of development programs are just a lot more easier to take and a lot more easier to get engagement and secure commitment. So I said that all in all, yes, try it. The first journey may not be easy. Don't imagine it's easy. But thereafter, once you showcase your success stories, it's going to be a history. And you're going to change someone's life for the worse, for the better, lifetime.
So it is great, but it's not easy. And you have to balance between the work and also these additional efforts and time. So yes. I can see your passion, and she become very emotional. I can see the tears coming up. So
500
500 have graduated over how long period? How many years already?
From 2013, we got slowed down because of pandemic, because they can't take the assessment, so it was slowed down for 2 years. Otherwise, you know, we got more. So 500 since 2013. So.
Since 2013, yeah, great effort. And that leads us to this next, or maybe it's our final question, depending on how fast the panelists discuss about it. Can elaborate further on employer who are paying more for new hires from other workplace rather than giving the existing worker, considering same capacity. So we have just seen the Masliza company going at great length and effort to develop internally. It's not like work means work, also educate. But how come there is this scenario? So,
Mr. Kam,
yes.
I will answer on this,
yes.
since I'm covering the worker part of it.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a very unusual scenario that's happening, right, on and off, and even now. So, this is where the organization, when come to a point of time, you need to do your thorough salary review for your existing employees. That is called as the term market adjustment. You need to have the competent HR personnel to be able to review the existing markets of existing employees, regardless of what levels, and able to come back to the management and propose to the management saying that these are the workers we identified. They are paid lower than new hires. For your information, the new hires, they represent the market rate. When your management asks you, so expensive, what is the market rate? Right? Your answer is that, you say, yes, boss, the employee that we are going to hire, they represent the markets. Right? So, that is the reason why you have to build into your salary increment tool that every year, you need to have 2 portions of increment percentage. One, generally, people will say that is the general salary increase, or you name it as merit adjustment, or you name it as yearly salary increment, that percentage. Usually, in the market, in the past 10 years, is ranging around 4 to 6%. Then another portion of it usually is 1 to 1.5% of the entire salary of the entire group of that department. That is the available amount that you are able to do market adjustment for certain identified, competent, high flyers, outstanding employees that you think you worth to put in effort to retain. with it, your emotional balance among your workforce will be stabilized. And you have to emphasize to your workers that salary is confidential. Of course, somehow, until today, I still cannot answer that why employees still know about each other's salary. I still can't answer. But we have to still need to keep saying that motherhood statement, that salary is individual, it is confidential, you share your salary, there is a disciplinary actions may be taken against you after the show cause is being served, for example. That just to keep everybody, not being influenced by the emotions, that knowing, well, new hires, I work here 8 years, my salary is lower than the new hires, who is even 2 years younger than me somehow. We create unnecessary havoc among the workforce. Thank you.
If I may add, to the, because I think between Dr. May and Masliza coming from more of a HR kind of a view, because before I joined CREST, I was heading the R&D team in Motorola, in one of the MNC. So when we look in terms of moving to a new product development, new technology and whatnot, it's always challenging. I think this is probably more like 10 years ago. To get the right talent to do the job right there and then. When you hire, you expect them to be ready to get the job done. And this is where one of the requirements that we said, if we cannot find this within your own organization, or we cannot find it in Malaysia, we go and do the foreign hire or hire from elsewhere, right? And therefore, the salary has to be based on the market rate, right? And that's one condition. And I think also the balancing between building your own talent from organically, and also bringing a new talent, from elsewhere. Not just because the requirement is not there. Sometimes you are, have almost a homogeneous type of, use the word homogeneous in terms of all Malaysian in your organization. Sometimes you need some sort of element of foreign to actually to get them to say, oh, I think I need to buck up and step up, right? Because if we don't do that, things will get very complacent. They say, oh, I'm okay. Nobody's going to take my job, right? And if you there's one Japanese philosophy using the word in the when they try to grow tuna in the big in the ocean, they put a big tank, they throw a shark in there, so that the tuna will not feel that they are very relaxed. They keep the tuna moving, and the same philosophy. You need to put some foreign element to to get the people in the existing organization to say, my job's not secure, I better step up and do better.
But again, that will be depending on the policies and the philosophy of the company.
Correct,
Whether
correct.
they can create healthy competition among the internal ecosystem. So anyway, that is another variation. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have covered all the 3 symbiotic elements, and in the balanced manner between the 3 elements. So now I have got a 10 to 20 second answer question for all the 3 panelists. If there's one thing that you want the audience to take away, what would that be for this research forum? 10 to 20-second answer only, no elaboration. There is like a tagline or something that take home, like strike lottery one, Maybe some of you may strike it and then change your life forever and really reset. Okay, so anyone can start. Now it's already balancing between the work.
2 words,
Yeah.
Be agile. Okay, I got 3 words. Be agile, be committed, and be on lifelong learning and applies. And so that you are going to be relevant for future. Whether you are employer, employee, provider, or, or students who are, thinking about quantum leap improvements in your career.
Be agile.
Be agile, be committed, and be a lifelong learner.
Committed and lifelong learner. I want to take this maybe strike lottery as well. Next, who will go next? The one short tagline or takeaway.
Workers are key assets. Demonstrate in our actions.
Thank you. That is sweet.
I guess I'm the last one. So two words for me is unlearn and relearn, because you need to unlearn what you have, you've done, and so that you can use, your free mind to learn new things, right? And that's very important, because it's a lifelong learning, like mentioned earlier. But you have to unlearn what you have, learned in the past, so that you can actually learn new things. That's very important, and you can move on to do anything you want, right? Learn anything you want, because if you have that mindset, you're able to learn anything.
Unlearn and relearn.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the golden words from the panelists. And it is now my turn to do the closing remarks. So as I come from the Small and Medium Enterprise Association, so there is something that is very close to my heart, is that there is no such thing as big company or small companies, then you don't need the core competencies. I think every one of us here heard it very clearly from the three panelists, from workers, from workplace. There are few core competencies in terms of problem solving and communication, and talking about how to engage the workers, whether you are a big organization or a small organization, because you are still competing for talents, right? Especially whether it's you talk about disruptive changes from technology, from anything else, from COVID, disruptive changes, you have to face it, right? And you have to adapt. That's why unlearn and relearn, and then earlier on the adapt. So, and also how to be attractive, to attract talent, retain talent. We also seen example of organization providing educations, learning opportunities to fulfill their career escalation, or you may like it, and then total wellness. Yeah, my final word is, whatever the disruptive changes, be it technology or speed up by COVID, change is needed. So instead of talking about, reset, what is reset? Are you ready to reset? You will ready to reset if you look at these you have to take constructive changes. These disruptive changes disrupt us. Whether you are employer, your employee, or you are the professional trainers in the audience. Many of you are professional trainers and facilitators. So disruptive changes are here from technology and from the pandemic. But we have to make constructive changes. And so that the stakeholders are happy, we can survive. So that is a wonderful session. I just got to know personally these three panelists yesterday and today, physically meeting. So, however, they provide the diverse experience and the diverse scenarios that they have shown, they have shared, and also the patiently listening audience. You are great. So have a great day and take away something and make it be counted. Thank you, HRD Corp, for having this session. And it's our honor to give something to the community. Thank you.
All right, there you are, ladies and gentlemen. Can we give one big round of applause to Mr. Welcome and our panelists for the forum. And with that, we have come to the end of our first session of our panel discussion. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to thank you for your presence and participation. Please be reminded that the certificate of attendance can be collected at the end of the forum later in the afternoon. And I would like to invite all participants in this hall to Light 1 for lunch. We shall break for lunch and we will come back at 2:15 p.m. for redefined session. With that, thank you very much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We'll be seeing you again at 2:15 p.m. Thank you. So dipersilakan tuan-tuan dan puan untuk menikmati makanan tengah hari yang disediakan di Dewan Light 1.